All right, let's get started. First and foremost, yesterday, as you guys know, I went to the ICE out of LA protests that were put together by PSL, and there were some funny moments, there were some humorous moments, there were some scary moments. And part of the reason why I did that alongside March, by the way, shouts out to March for always being in tow, okay? Always by my side, ready to fucking let it rip. You know, we had some funny moments like this one, obviously, you know, soy facing at the protest, that sort of thing. But the reason why I did this, as I explained earlier this morning, is because just like with the UCLA student encampments, I wanted to give you guys a firsthand account of everything that was going on and my own personal experience and how I felt and did I feel unsafe and to show you, like, was it truly that chaotic, or if it was chaotic, who was causing this chaos? Who was causing this commotion? Now, the reason why I did that, of course, is because we cover a lot of these protests on a daily basis all around the planet. And sometimes we attend these protests ourselves. But like, I think it's important to show firsthand accounts on the ground directly, because I feel like it contradicts a lot of the media coverage that you see about these protests, because the media coverage is short. It's short, piffy, quick, and hyper focuses on all of the high notes, hyper focuses on all of the craziest aspects of the protest, right? And when you watch it from above, even if you're watching it in real time, you don't get a full assessment of like who is causing the harm, who is causing the chaos, who is causing the instability. The media oftentimes also takes a sensationalist approach, even when they're being shot directly by the fucking cops. Like, this is a great example, right? Cop in this clip deliberately lines her up, shoots her, literally turns in her direction from behind. It's in broad daylight. It's on camera. This is a U.S. correspondent for 9 News Australia, okay? Lauren Tomasi. Let's take a look at what happens. I want you to hyper focus on this corner of the screen here. I'm going to show you.
This situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Look, this guy.
You just shut the fuck up.
You okay?
I'm good.
Now, why did I show you this? One, because it shows once again the depravity of American police brutality in broad daylight, in real time, in 4K, okay, or, you know, 1080p, whatever. But the other reason why I showed you this is because the role the media plays is so defensive of cops that 9 News Australia, whose correspondent just got shot by a cop in broad daylight with a less lethal that is not supposed to be aimed at a person, especially not supposed to be aimed at a person at that proximity, because it can be lethal at that proximity. This is how they covered it. U.S. correspondent Lauren Tomasi has been caught in the crossfire as the LAPD fired rubber bullets at protesters in the heart of Los Angeles. Dude, that's your own fucking reporter that just got shot. You're not even American. This is what I mean when I say the media, mainstream outlets, they have a primary responsibility to defend these institutions. They have to defend the police, even when they are the ones getting shot. It makes no sense. This guy literally directly from that proximity knew exactly who the fuck this person was. Like, as in, knew that this was a reporter, aimed at the reporter and shot her with a less lethal rubber bullet from a proximity that could be lethal. Okay? But even then, the media is using passive voice to describe it, because their primary function, the primary role that they serve, is to be in defense of institutions like the police, right? That's it. I showed you this because if you get your notes exclusively from mainstream outlets, you are going to lose a lot of nuance. You're going to lose a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. Another example I used was, of course, the ABC coverage or the CBS coverage, where like the dude, the sexy war correspondent guy, was deployed into downtown Los Angeles, right? And the sexy war correspondent guy who was in downtown Los Angeles was behind the police line and was like, the cops were experiencing a barrage of like rocks and really dangerous things, you know, water bottles being thrown in their direction. And it's like he had to go through so many cartridges from deployed less lethal munitions and crowd dispersal agents like tear gas and pepper spray to fish out a piece of concrete to be like, look at how dangerous this is. And it's like, yeah, dude, it is dangerous. You're in full body armor, by the way, not the journalist, but the cops are in fucking full body armor. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But like I said, the reason why I went down there and the reason why I will continue going to these things is to show you a different perspective, to show you a perspective from the side of the protesters, because you are not a cop. You are not a politician. You are a regular civilian. And one day there will be an issue. If you don't care about this one, there will be an issue that you do care about, so much so that you will go out and you will want to protest. And then you'll realize the power dynamic and the asymmetry of power. I was a hater until I saw your takes on my city and what you said. I officially admit I'm wrong and that you're a good man for that. It's all good, brother. It always happens to be this way. There are plenty of people who change their mind in real time when they actually encounter me in the real world, or when they see some of my coverage on an issue that they do care about. Because when it's an issue that they do care about, all of a sudden they realize like, oh, I'm actually guided first and foremost by empathy. Empathy for those who have less power in the situation. Empathy for those who are vulnerable in the situation, who don't have the protection. And all of a sudden, you're not seeing me from a negative lens that was deliberately crafted by dipshits who actually don't fucking care about you and are simply trying to farm content off of Hasan clicks, or because they have an antagonistic position to any kind of progressive politics. That's it. But yeah, as I was saying, my goal with the UCLA student encampments was to show you how different the reality on the ground was from the way the media was framing it. The LA protests are the same. It feels chaotic from afar, but the protesters are your neighbors. The threat is ICE. The threat is the police. This right-wing broadcaster goes, what's the smoke in the background of your photo from? It's fucking tear gas. Ironically enough, this wasn't behind the Waymos. This is just tear gas that the cops had deployed. Why wear a mask? Please enlighten us. Oh my God, fucking blue check marks on Twitter. There's some of the dumbest people on the planet. Like, why am I wearing a mask? Because they're deploying tear gas, man. Do you think I'm wearing a mask to hide my identity? I'm 6'4". I'm wearing my own merchandise and I have fucking 80,000 people watching like on camera. I don't think I'm hiding my identity at all. What is this? Yet he's in his house making tons of money from just sitting on a screen. What is this? Oh, this is someone responding to a hater. Looking veiny, brother. Thank you. Blue checks are not people, dog. Not enough questions about your bicep vascularity and too much about the mask. Please wear a better mask than that, though. Don't fuck up your lungs, homie. Yeah. I have a fucking camera following me as I go through this goddamn protest. Like, obviously, you know what's really funny about it? At least in my estimations, one of the funniest things I always see, aside from like the people who first go from, you always just sit on your ass. You never go to a fucking protest to, well, okay, you did go to a protest, but honestly, I hate that you went to the protest because you're a fucking terrorist. I hope they kill you at the protest. Okay. But then there's also my favorite type of person who's like, gotta hand it to him. I guess he went to a protest one time, calm down. And it's like, you say this every fucking time. I go to protests literally nonstop. I go to rallies. I speak at rallies. I fucking fundraise for all the issues that I talk about. It's just, you have only fucking seen me through the lens of people who are not political at all and are just on the Hasan tip. You dumbass. Stop watching those stupid fucking morons, okay? Don't even watch me either, but I'm just saying, like, don't get your information from these people. And then there's this. Yo, don't mean to get you down, but I was a little disappointed yesterday when you didn't use your platform to tell people to join the protest. It felt like you were just doing protest tourism. You have so much opportunity to organize peacefully. Don't be afraid of getting arrested for a few days. Chat will wait for you, big dog. Take your permaban. That's it. Dumbass. That's why I'm there. What are you talking about? Oh my fucking Lord, dude. Some of you guys are so fucking stupid. Anytime somebody says, hey, can you check my last comment? It's actually really important. It's usually the dumbest thing I've ever encountered. There's never been a moment where I haven't fucking urged people to go out and protest. I always do. And if you're saying like, well, you didn't protest hard enough, like, what do you want me to do? Fucking blow up a Waymo on camera? Like punch a cop? Like, what are you, stupid? Don't be afraid to get arrested. That's a fan, by the way. That's not even a fucking hater, which is ironic because that's what my haters say. My haters will turn around and use that opportunity to be like, see, even his fucking fans are like demanding more from him, but he won't do it because he's a fucking pussy. It's like, yeah, dude, I'll kill myself one of these days. Don't worry. Did you hear about the security surveillance on protesters at University of Michigan campus is so uncomfortable even after they said they stopped it? Yeah. Asman says what you did was illegal. Citizenship removal. I know. Yeah, that's not how that works. Okay. What I was going to say is the other reason is because, like I said, from my own personal anecdotes, I want to explain to people to the best of my ability what it feels like to be there, right? And be on the side of the protesters rather than the kinds of information that you often get from the media that is one step removed. Like they have an unbiased framework that oftentimes is biased towards power. Okay. And that in and of itself causes people who are watching from afar to develop the wrong opinions. Okay. Because when you look at it from afar, like, and I know this as well, even when I'm covering it, it looks super chaotic from top down images of cars being burnt and all of this crazy tumultuous back and forth. Right. But when you're there, you have a feeling of safety and security when you're around regular people. And the only time when you feel unsafe is when you're around the cops. And there is no way to explain it to people other than just like experiencing it on your own. If people offering each other food, acts of solidarity, people offering each other water, there are field medics out there. You know what I mean? And the only sense of danger comes from people who are armed and also have no legal repercussions for using said less lethal arms on the civilians there, or even tear gassing an entire fucking crowd. Like, that's it. And you have to remember, like, I know that the state has a monopoly on violence, right? As in, when the state engages in violent acts, that is seen as the norm. When the state engages in violent acts, that is seen as the norm. When you actually retaliate against that in self-defense, that's unacceptable. That's the real violence. That's what people hyper-focus on, right? But even before police brutality at these fucking protests, the first act that triggered the community to organize was literally a violent act that is supposed to be legally sanctioned. ICE raids at Home Depot and ICE raids being conducted in courthouses, ICE raids happening at graduations, like at schools, where the federal government is openly admitting that they are not invested in finding criminals at all. They are actually there to fill a quota. These are human beings that are a part of our communities, okay? These are human beings that have been living here. These are human beings that are collaborating and cooperating with the federal law enforcement agencies, with the immigration authorities, and the price that they pay for said cooperation, for following the book, for literally doing everything right, they're used as pawns. Because Stephen Miller decided we have to get 3,000 people out of this country a day. And in an effort to deport 3,000 plus people a day, they also are shredding due process, constitutional protections that these people had, that we all are supposed to have. That is an incredibly violent act. That is unimaginably violent. That is so much more violent than burning a fucking Waymo, which, for the record, is not productive. I understand that. I'm not like sitting here and being like, I'm glad that they burned the Waymos. I'm just saying I don't give a fuck about the Waymos, okay? I don't care. Because at the end of the day, what I was trying to describe to Mason when we were sitting in front of the burning Waymos and we were talking about this was that we care about property damage because property damage ends up harming someone's bottom line. It ends up hurting someone's financial situation, and therefore it ends up hurting their lives, right? Like maybe it was someone's rental property or something, and that's their nest egg, right? It's easy to say like, oh, who gives a those people, right? And I understand if you are not invested in anything. But what a lot of people fail to consider is why you hate property damage. The reason why you hate property damage is because human beings are hurt at the end of the property damage. You don't actually defend property for the sake of property. You are saying property damage is bad because it hurts people. So ultimately, if that is your driving force behind like getting angry at property damage, then you should be extra mad about the human beings that are being ripped away from their families. La, la, la.